Dear audience, before your tea, we are going to have a talk on tea with the two great leaders of Pakistan in education system, that is Mr. Nisar Ahmed Siddiqui Saab, Director, Sukkur IBA, and Dr. Javed Ashraf Saab, Vice Chancellor, Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad. I request them both, please come on this stage and have seats. This will be a talk between director, our worthy director Nisar Ahmed Siddiqui Saab and Dr. Javed Ashraf, that how they establish these institutions which have their contrasting physical and also the geographical distributions. And this seems to be really a tale of two cities. The tale of two cities, what do I mean by that, is a city with which we call in Pakistan is the developed city, and the other is the Sukkur, which is underdeveloping, or that is the... Sir, please have a seat, sir, please. Acha, photos. Sir, thank you very much for your time. Sir, actually, everyone wanna know about you, how you establish these institutions, and how you actually introduce your innovative ideas in these institutions. And my first question is actually to Director Nisar Ahmed Siddiqui Saab, that he became the director of Sukkur IBA in 2004, and actually everyone is wanna know about this, because with his status, he can establish such kind of institution in any city of Pakistan. So, sir, I want to ask you from where you get the motivation that to establish this institution in Sukkur, sir?
Actually, my career can be divided into two parts. One is with the education department as a teacher. I started my career as a high school teacher in nearby village Priyalu and maybe other places. Then I joined the civil service and served as deputy commissioner mostly in the province of Sindh. So after serving as commissioner for 2 divisions and deputy commissioner for 3 districts, I served as the managing director of Sindh Industrial Trading Estate site, which is based in Karachi, but it covers whole of Sindh, Nooriabad, Kotli, Sukkur, Nawab Shah. So during that time, I strongly felt, because being a public servant, having contacts with the general public, a lot of youngsters would come to me that they have passed the engineering or some other skill. Various companies and the corporations have invited applications, but in the advertisement it is mentioned that the graduates of university, Mehran University or Sindh University need not apply. So there was sufficient reaction to this. Then they stopped advertising like this, but they would say only the graduates of NED or some one university may apply. So those youngsters from Mehran University, Sindh University would come to me with the request that corporation like Siemens, Philips and many others situated in the site Mangopir, Karachi, I would request them, and they would come to me that they are not calling us for the interview, although we possess the required qualifications. So I will request, being the MD of that area, I would request, though they are HR people, so they will oblige me and they call me. They will call the youngsters. But obviously, those youngsters were not selected. And for obvious reasons, because they did not possess that required quality. So what these youngsters do, after being disappointed, they will go back to our villages, to their parents, and tell their friends also, that they did not select me because I am a Sindhi. So this was actually wrong. They were not rejected because they were Sindhis. They were rejected because they did not possess that level of required quality. I used to think that where the fault lies, actually the fault does not arise with the students or with their parents, because they took admission, they were in the university for 4 years, they attended the classes, they passed, they got the degree, but the worth of that degree is not as required by the market. So students are not at fault, their parents are not at fault. It is in fact the university which is at fault. Because the students were with them, parents sent their children, they bore their expenses, and with all this, the university did not impart them the required knowledge and skills. So it is fault of the university. And generally, we find that many of our universities are producing army of unemployed degree holders. They are, of course, mills for producing the degrees, but those degrees have no worth in the market. So the fault lies with the universities. We need to have some institution which is based on quality. So this was something, a thinking in my mind. So when I got the chance, I was Commissioner Sukkur, I started this, and the administration, Sindh government cooperated, and I am really thankful to Dr. Wahab, who was kind enough to extend the affiliation, and in this way the Sukkur IBA started. Rather, Sukkur IBA took birth in 2 rooms, rented rooms of public school Sukkur. We had no budget, we had no building, no assets, no fixed assets, nothing of the sort. So we started this, and by the grace of Allah and with the help of the dedicated team we have in Sukkur IBA, we are what we see as today.
Sir, thank you very much. Sir, my question is to you. You were the director of Karachi IBA in 2002, and it is known by you that you have introduced this 4 years degree program. That the real question is how you get this idea to introduce this 4 years degree program in Pakistan.
Thank you, Waqar Saab. When I joined IBA, which was in the year 2000, I felt that we needed to follow international best practices, that we had to guarantee that our degrees be recognized and accepted abroad. And all of you are very young. I see that perhaps the most important step I took at Karachi IBA was starting a 4-year bachelor's program. And for those of our colleagues here who have come from abroad, prior to that, our bachelor's degree was for just 2 years. We completed what we call an intermediate level of education, the equivalent of high school in the United States, and then just another 2 years to get a bachelor's degree. Now, in the United States and most other foreign countries, it takes 4 years to get a bachelor's degree. So when I, with my master's degree from Government College Lahore, arguably at that time one of the leading institutions in the country, my master's degree was considered the equivalent of a bachelor's degree in the United States. And large numbers of Pakistani students who came with bachelor's degrees had to undergo another 2 years of schooling before they were considered the equivalent of a bachelor's in the United States. And there was more to it than just that. The old-timers here will probably remember that a bachelor's degree in Pakistan, which took just 2 years, you studied only 3 courses. When I went through my bachelor's degree, I had mathematics, economics, and statistics at Government College Lahore. In contrast, the 4-year bachelor's program has something like 40 courses, 120 credit hours. So you have a much broader education, you're much more well-rounded, and it doesn't stop at that. At Government College Lahore, which was then affiliated with the Punjab University, we had one examination at the end of 2 years. So the rest of those 2 years, I, like many of my friends, engaged in other activities. I was on the debating team at Government College Lahore. What might amuse some of you, my friend Tayyab here knows, I was a member of a pop band. I was interested in the music you had yesterday. If I had my guitar, I might have played some music for you too. But I had the time to engage in a lot of non-academic pursuits because our final exam 2 years later seemed so far away. And then when the exams were close, of course I had studied through the 2 years, but I went to Urdu Bazaar and I bought these. They were called short shot guides, khulasas. They had about 15 questions for each paper, and I studied those and I passed my MA examinations. In fact, just with those, I was second in 750 students, and I really had not learned my subject. But the American system, where a bachelor's degree takes 4 years, you are in a semester system where you have periodic examinations all the time. So learning is an ongoing process the entire time that you are a student. There's very little doubt, and I think all of you who now have, or at least the younger lot among you, who have been through 4-year bachelor's program, there's no comparison in terms of the quality and what you learn over those 4 years compared to the old 2-year bachelor's program. We're not even getting into the aspect of internationally having degrees which are internationally recognized. But it's win-win all the way when we did that. And I was really pleased. I met with Dr. Ataur Rahman shortly after I instituted a 4-year bachelor's program at IBA. He liked the idea very much, and he asked all universities in Pakistan to follow what we did at IBA Karachi. So I think it was good for Pakistan, it's good for our universities, most importantly, it's good for our students.
Good we know from this is next time we will arrange the guitar for you.
Thank you.
Sir, again the question to you is, Alhamdulillah, within a decade, Sukkur IBA known as a success story. but there is a lot of efforts behind this. I just want to ask you that what were the main constraints you faced when you started Sukkur IBA, and then how would you overcome them? Sir, please.
Main constraints, as per se, were two. Number one was, of course, financial, because when we started, IBA Karachi was kind enough to extend affiliation to us. We had nothing. There was no mention of Sukkur IBA in any books of the government. So there was no budget, no financial arrangements. We had no building. We simply, because at that time Commissioner used to be the chairman of the board of governors in public school Sukkur. So I got 2 rooms vacated from the public school Sukkur and started. So there were no finances. And this financial problem has remained all along. Although we have developed like anything, but in reality, we are also working against these odds, and that is the financial constraints. Because we are as this morning in his talk, Dr. Tayyib mentioned about the entrepreneurship. And I would say that Sukkur IBA is also an entrepreneurial institution. An entrepreneurial institution I would define as an institution which is risk taker. We are not risk averse. Number 2, we are innovators. Anything new which we feel will be useful for enhancing the quality of Sukkur IBA, we immediately grab it. So on one side we have financial constraints, on other side we have zeal and zest for doing anything new. Whatever we find something new. We found that the MIT has started, is running, of course, the Fab Lab, and the Fab Foundation has of course helped in establishment of Fab Labs in almost 70 countries, and in India there are more than 10 Fab Labs, but in Pakistan there is none. So we said Sukkur IBA would be the first to establish it, and it is now. So in such cases we have to face the odds, and that is mainly financial constraints. Second is, of course, the political milieu or the political environment in which we live, which is, full of recommendations, political interventions, and many things. But you have seen the compound wall. I told this to the Chief Minister also. The compound wall we have all around, and it is not simply compound wall, but above it there is a grill, so that nobody can jump in. So I told the Chief Minister that this wall and this grill is not for any dacoits or terrorists who can come in. It is for the political interference which will not be allowed to. But I am really lucky and thankful to the politicians who are in Sukkur or in Sindh. They they have realized this, and we have no interference in our admissions, in our recruitment, and all our policies. So that is also one of the factors for developing. And the friends have also been helping us, and I would mention Dr. Javed. Dr. Wahab, he was the director IBA Karachi, and he helped us a lot in developing. So we are also thankful to him, and in this way many other friends.
Sir, you are in US and you are enjoying all perks of life over there. My question is actually, what brought you back? What were the reasons behind? What motivates you to join as a Vice Chancellor of Quaid-e-Azam University? I just want to share with you people, the day that's a giant Quaid-e-Azam University, I just called at his number in US. And then Auntie picked up the phone and I asked the question, where is Dr. Saab? She said to me, he is in Pakistan. And I found a number and called him. And asked, sir, where are you? He said, I am in Islamabad. So, sir, what are you doing over there? He said he joined Quaid-e-Azam University as a Vice Chancellor. So I just surprised at that moment, and very much surprised that how he come back and join Quaid-e-Azam University. Sir, please.
I'll be happy to answer that question. I've been asked by many people. One, all is not gloom and doom in Pakistan. There are a lot of very good things about Pakistan. And I honestly think, and since my very good friend Tayyib sits here, he too has expressed a desire to return to Pakistan. A lot of expatriates would come back if the right opportunity were provided to them. There is a lack of proper opportunities, and you know some of the problems in coming here. When you come back, things don't get done. You know, just to give a little example, I met with the Chinese ambassador, and he agreed to give ₹1 billion. That's a billion with a B. He said there's just one little issue. It has to go through the Economic Affairs Division. It's a government requirement that embassies cannot directly fund an institution. So I said, fine. And I went and met with the Secretary of the Economic Affairs Division with my good friend and former teacher, Dr. Perez Tahir, who Tayyib you know very well also. And the Secretary promised, not a problem, we'll rush it through, and it'll be in the Chinese embassy. It has now been over a year, and the file is still stuck in the Economic Affairs Division. And the people who were helping us, who also talked to the Chinese ambassador, included a member of our syndicate, whom you probably know well since he's associated with the PPP, Senator Faratullah Babar, and Mr. Mushahid Hussain, whose wife Dushka retired as a professor from Quaid-e-Azam. We had two very influential individuals assisting us, but the file has not gone through the Economic Affairs Division yet. These are the kind of problems I see all the time in the HEC, in the Ministry of Education, elsewhere. That's part of the reality of Pakistan. So a lot of expatriates who'd like to come back, they have come back, but they've given up too soon. They face a little problem. In fact, here at Ghazi University, you probably know, they hired a Pakistani professor from Florida, and he lasted about 30 days there, went back. There are problems when you work here, but there's so much which is positive here also. And we talked a moment ago about the fact that at IBA Karachi, I was able to start the first 4-year bachelor's program at a public sector university in Pakistan, and now every university follows that.